when you look at the data, when do we die? We die usually, most of us die in the morning hours. It could coincide with these higher levels of CO2 that we cannot tolerate because they are too high for us.
And this is what's going to blow people's minds a little bit. So we've got what I would describe as like low level radiation of CO2 levels everywhere. That's causing problems. But then there's the other side, which is an acute blast of CO2. So talk to us a bit about what's going on with the masks, with the bottles you've got, and why that's different from having a higher level of CO2 in the bedroom.
Right. So it's important. This is a bit of a education here, I think, because the question I often get is, but wait a minute, you just said that carbon dioxide was bad in my bedroom, and now you're saying I should go ahead using this Carboh Haler and inhale extra CO2. I just don't get it. So we have to understand that it's about the dosage. If I'm going to the gym and I'm not very fit and I try to do 100 push-ups, it's not very smart. I need to take things step by step. If I give my car more fuel, it doesn't go better. It needs the right amount of fuel. So it's about balance. So when I try to increase my tolerance for CO2, I need to take it in steps. So, for example, if I'm going from being a normal breather and then start to wear a mask, maybe that step is too fast then. I'm going from 1 to 8. So the better way to learn a new habit to increase your tolerance or whatever it is we want to achieve is to take it in small steps. So that is important to understand. So that is when it becomes bad if I have 4,000 ppm in my car and I can't tolerate it, or in my bedroom in the early morning hours. Then I may lay there and hyperventilate, and then we end up overbreathing, and then the body will react to us being in a constant state of fight-flight. So using this, the Carboh Haler then, it's a device you hook up to a SodaStream cylinder or a CO2 gas tank, and you maybe expose yourself for 3, 4, 5 minutes to higher levels of CO2, which could then be 2,000 ppm to, with this you can deliver up to 8,000 ppm. I normally go for 4,000 ppm, which is 4% CO2, so 100 times more than the atmospheric air. And what we notice is really, really cool. We see that the airways open up. So people who have blocked nose, narrow nasal passages, problems with their airways or lung function, they start to notice that they feel freer. It's easier to take a breath. That's one aspect. Another aspect is that we feel stronger. I think more than 50% that I've asked to do push-ups after trying the Carboh Haler, and I've only asked the people who know how many push-ups they can do, which is not the average, but we asked about 20 people, and more than half of them can do more. So my own journey, I could do 49. In the study we discussed earlier in Stanford with James Nestor, one of the things we did there was doing push-ups, and then we checked our heart rate variability. There was a really big difference on the heart rate variability with mouth breathing, where it was much lower compared to nasal breathing. But I'm quite competitive, so I had decided in that study, since we're going to do push-ups every day, I want to do 50 push-ups. That's my ultimate goal with this 3-week study. I don't care about anything else, but I want to do 50 push-ups. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I only reached 49. I was so pissed off. So I actually started several weeks before the study to get to that point, to the 50. But I could only do 49. So if we put that in perspective, and now, since I started using the Carboh Haler, I can do 75.
Wow.
And I'm 5 years older. My partner, she started at 25. She can do 55 now, so she's crushing it even more. So this is really interesting, and the explanation for that I have discussed with quite a few people now, and we tend to agree on it, is that because our nose is connected to our brain, our amygdala, which is our fear center, and our hippocampus. So studies have shown, for example, when you're exposed to different pictures and then they measure the activity in the amygdala and the hippocampus, they see that there is a huge stimulation in these areas when you expose to the picture, when you inhale at the same time. So the air we inhale will reach the brain. And when you inhale extra CO2, you will expose the brain to more of that. And there are quite a few of these different modalities where you hyperventilate in order to get in touch with your traumas. So when you hyperventilate, of course, you lower the levels of CO2. So the amygdala is sensitive to changes in carbon dioxide levels. So what we do with the Carboh Haler, we expose the amygdala to more CO2 and without the negative effects of hyperventilation. So what we see is that the amygdala starts to, basically we all go around with these survival programs, many of them installed in our childhood. We try to understand the world, and our nervous system is there to keep us alive and keep us safe. And we then tend to install too many programs that are red coded, and that tells us we have to be afraid of that, worried of that, and they are actually not in line with the reality. It's our limited ability as children to make a good understanding of what's going on. So we end up as adults repeating those programs. We're just like a computer. Someone push a button and that program is played out. So if we look at our red-coded survival box, we find that we have way too many of these survival programs. And when you expose the amygdala to some extra CO2, we're able to go and look in that box and realize which those programs are. Oh, I don't need to be afraid of this and this and that. So then we recode them, put them green-coded, and put them in the safe and secure box. So what that means then is that, I mean, most people don't care how many push-ups they can do. That's not the point. But the point is, since our nervous system only allowed me to do 49 push-ups before, it's not that I'm going to the gym more, it's not that I'm exercising more, but probably it is that my nervous system thinks that I have more resources. Yeah, okay, let him do 75, that's fine. He can do that. He has the resources for that, because holding on to all these fears and unhealed traumas, worry, etc., stress, that costs a lot of energy. So when we can reduce that, when we can let go of these fears, we basically have more resources available. And studies confirm this